Welcome back. Well, a brief look at the markets, and there is some sort of stabilization, at least at the moment. We are still below the 25,000 mark, no respite from there, but at least we have managed to find the floor just around the 24,800 mark. Remember, the September lows were around 24,750. For now, at least the intraday low has been maintained for now. Bank Nifty is the one which is down almost 0.6%, and sharp cuts across the board when you're looking at the broader markets. Both the small cap and the mid cap indices are seeing cuts of 2.5%. And we were just hearing Harsha talk about how valuations still remain expensive when it comes to the broader universe, and that's why there's an increased tilt towards a large cap. But talking about individual names, CG Power in the last few minutes has perked up. Remember, they were foraying into the design of the semiconductor as well, and that was one of the reasons that stock was higher. In fact, at the highest point of the trading session, Quest Corp, Deepak Fertilizers are some of the other names that are doing okay in the market right now. But what has not been doing okay perhaps is some of the auto sales, because the last month and a couple of these important festivals like Ganesh Chaturthi as well as Onam have failed to reinvigorate the market as far as the demand is concerned, and that's something that we'll discuss with Mr. C.S. Vigneshwar, the president at FADA, joining us on the show right now. Hi, good afternoon. Good to be speaking with you. Well, the number does not excite us at all. A decline of 10%, no less. What do you attribute it to? Is there a very weak demand sentiment out there? Is it just delay of demand? What's your reading of the tea leaves here?
Thank you so much for having us over. And yes, it's been quite a damp month, so to speak. September wasn't great. There were a couple of reasons which we were deep diving into and found out those reasons. Yes, Onam and Ganesha Chaturthi are usually months where there's a pep in sales. There's something which we really look forward to, and there's very good sales. But this year, it hasn't been so. Yes, in Kerala, Onam also has been affected because of the flood situation there. There have been quite a bad situation regarding floods, and it has its impact on the economy and the customer sentiment. The Ganesh Chaturthi also, which is celebrated throughout the country and more particularly in Maharashtra, has also been not great. We really need to watch why this is happening. One of the reasons is also that a lot of the northern part of India has also been receiving a lot of rain during September. The Shad period also has been quite long this year, and so that the buying has really come down. But however, we did also see on the positive side that there's been a decent amount of walk-ins during the end of September. And what's happened the first week of October has been quite heartening. The walk-ins, the inquiries have actually gone up fourfold. And we are hoping to ride this wave and to see whether this will continue for the rest of the months too.
Also, if you could just tell in how is the inventory situation with the dealers? Is it the PV or the two-wheelers where the inventory is very high? And how have been the inquiries, and what are dealers suggesting to you? Are they confident enough that they will be able to sell this kind of inventory, whatever inventory they have right now during the festive period?
There are 2 points of view here. From the dealer perspective, we've been highlighting the increase in inventory for the last 4 months. It's been happening quite steadily. We've been highlighting this to the OEMs. And the OEMs' point of view, what they tell us is since it's going to be a very concentrated festival period, since Navratri and Diwali are going to come bunched up together, the period is going to be pretty concentrated, and therefore the sales also would be. And they told us that since they can't suddenly increase production just for a month, they had to increase production over a period of time, which I do empathize with. But however, the situation on the ground, we have hit about 85 days in terms of stock in the PV space. Yes, to answer your question, the two-wheelers are not as big a problem in terms of inventory. But in terms of passenger vehicles, inventory is certainly an issue which we want to quickly solve. We are hoping for a bumper season during the next 40 days. And hopefully this would lead to the reduction in inventory. But inventory is at an all-time high, which means for the customer, it's a great time to buy. Not only is inventory high, but even the offers for customers in terms of discounts are quite high, never before seen levels. Right, so this is a direct factor of supply and demand. But as the demand keeps going up, the supply is bound to deplete. and so will the discounts. Discounts also would be
But then,
coming down.
sir, if you could
in the
just tell
few
us,
weeks ahead of us.
if you could tell us what are the dealers indicating? Like, have the inquiries picked up at least ahead of the festive season, which because of which they are confident that they will be able to sell this kind of an inventory in the next 40 days?
The inquiries have actually gone up fourfold, which is very, very heartening. And hopefully, this would also lead to bookings. It's already started leading to bookings. And the retails will start soon because the start just got over last month. The customers have started walking into our showrooms, inquiring about vehicles, talking to us about the deals. So a booking would typically take a day or two, and then the finance process might take a couple of more days, and then it'll be another couple of days for the RTO process. So we would be seeing the retails happening from this month. The dealers are very, very positive, and they're quite happy about the demand coming back.
They'll be happy with the demand coming back. But just to the point of discounts that you were alluding to, are you expecting it to be much higher than, let's say, what we saw last year, given the inventory build-up? What's the expectation and what should consumers prepare for?
Absolutely. As a customer, it's a great time to go and buy the vehicle right now because not only the discounts are high, the supply also is high. For the previous 4 years, a lot of times the customer would walk into the vehicle and probably keeping one vehicle in mind in terms of color or the suffix they want to buy. And they would walk out with a completely different color and suffix because the vehicles just were not available. So it was sadly a take it or a leave it situation because the demand was high and supply wasn't there. But right now, the customer is in a great place because the customer could walk in, pick a color of the customer's choice, pick a suffix of the customer's choice, and then walk out. Yes, there are certain models which have long waiting periods, but most of the models are available off the shelf along with the deals to boot.
Okay, and just before we let you go, there are these increased reports talking about how EV sales seem to have been falling off the cliff, at least when it comes to the passenger vehicles. Could you corroborate that for us? Is EVs actually not finding enough buyers?
Yes, so there were the first 6 months of this year had protracted elections for 6 months, for 3 months, and then you had a heat wave, then you had a lot of incidences regarding flooding. So all these things would probably have had hampered sales until now. But we are hoping that because with the increased amount of walk-ins, increased amount of bookings happening, we are quite confident that this month would be a large turnaround for the whole for the lower first half sales which we experienced.
And sir, lastly, how has been the tractor sales given the fact that we have seen good monsoons? Bigger tractor companies have maintained their 5% YOY growth rate, but your numbers are suggesting a 15% growth. So do you think the numbers could be much higher for tractor sales in this financial year?
The tractor sales in the first half has been a little bit tepid again. But last month, we have seen a nearly 15% increase in the tractor sales, which also corresponds with the fact that there are good rains, good monsoon. We have had one of the highest monsoons in the last 11 years, so which has been fantastic. There's enough water in the reservoirs, so we don't need to think of a drought situation in the near future. The tractor sales again shows it is about 14 or to 15% up in September, which means the rural demand is extremely strong. And usually the tractor sales that's an indicator, is a harbinger of the fact that the PV and the two-wheeler segment also picks up after this in the rural market. And the rural market has been doing extremely well for India, for the Indian auto sector in the last couple of years.
Okay, on that note, we let you go, hoping that the rest of the festive season turns out better for you. The pickup so far hasn't been that strong, and a decline of 10% in the month gone by.
There comes a time when your heart calls for you to arise. Plant your feet solid into the ground. Decide your own limits, and then break right through them. Become something more. It's my time to rise.